DJ, host of Ride the Vibe, broadcasting from the wicked awesome DRS ATL studio right here in Roswell, Georgia, the seventh largest city in the state. And it would not be a Ride the Vibe without my friend Wahid Gomes, the proprietor of the studio and the master of all technology, making it happen for us. And I'm super stoked to have on the show today Ken Ronk. And Ken is the lead vocalist for Atomic Kings, who are a new Phoenix-based group who have created quite a buzz in the music industry with a new album titled Atomic Kings that is very diverse and deeply anchored in the style of the 70s supergroups, in the vein of Bad Company, Led Zeppelin, Free, Robin Trower, but with a modern twist similar to Revival Sons and Dirty Honey, etc. So Ken, welcome.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Our pleasure. And for your fans that are legion and growing, particularly with this new release, but may not be familiar with Ride the Vibe, the way we roll the show is we encourage the listeners to sit back, because it's a podcast, and get a beverage of their choice. In the studio, we are featuring a product that we've become very big fans of called DrinkMate. And DrinkMate, they're out of Ann Arbor, unique, innovative company that is the carbon anything drink maker. So you can get yourself off of those deadly sugar-sweetened beverages and take some filtered water and carbonate it, or really anything that you want to carbonate, and also reduce your carbon footprint with the plastic. So shout out to DrinkMate. So we encourage the listeners to get a beverage of their choice and sit back, because we're going to play 6 songs off your great new album. Again, Atomic Kings, self-titled album. And we're only going to play, Ken, just a couple minutes, because we want to encourage the listeners to go out and actually, maybe buy the album. That would be unique. And then also
would be,
stream the songs a zillion times on their favorite platforms, so you can make enough to buy yourself a cup of coffee, probably.
Yeah.
So
if they stream it, a couple 100,000 times, we could all get a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Oh, God bless Daniel Ilk, the owner who's making millions while poor musicians are struggling.
Thank you for that great introduction, too, by the way.
Oh, gosh. Well, I just, just kind of pieced together, things that I had read that were unique to Atomic Kings. And so I have to ask right out of the gate, well, I have multiple questions, but we would not have met had it not been for the amazing, the one and only Lucy Pillar. So just to talk a little bit about how you came to know Lucy, Ken.
Lucy and I, we started talking and messaging. Oh, it's been years ago now, and obviously the connection is the Free, Bad Company, Paul Rogers situation, and I was doing a tribute to Paul Rogers and Bad Company, and we'd had a little bit of a situation where the management from Bad Company actually sent me an email, and they were concerned about their logo. And they'd asked if there was a way we could do something with the logo so that it wasn't exactly the same as theirs. So I made a few changes and I sent it back. And at first, the management didn't really even know that we had changed the logo. And basically, I had a good friend of mine. Basically, we just moved the lines from the bottom of Badco to the top of Badco.
So it was so subtle.
It was so subtle, yeah. But Lucy and I have really messaged and chatted a lot over, many of her amazing photos. And I know that we had posted several photos, and she'd messaged that she had taken the photos, and so over the years we've just really kind of gotten a lot of respect for each other, and she's just been fantastic, and she does a lot with ARN, which is, she does a lot of managing and promoting of a lot of great bands.
Yeah.
And, they're lucky to have her out there in Atlanta. And I'm certainly fortunate to know her and get a chance to talk with her.
Have you ever met her, Ken?
Not personally.
Yeah, interesting.
A few years back, she had called, and she was going to be out this way.
Yeah.
for a Bad Company show, actually.
Ah.
And it just happened to be a time when I was out of town. I think I was actually in Tulsa at the time. So I missed her. And there's been a couple of times she was going to make it out, and you know, our schedules just didn't make it. But I know that we will, and that'll be a great day.
I love it. So, and she's, did I remember that she's trying to line up a band that she's promoting to join you all out there on a double bill somewhere? Did I get that right?
Yeah, she does. You know, Lucy, I know, promotes a lot of bands. I know, and she's a very big live entertainment person. I mean, Lucy really supports the music scene, you know, out there in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And she gets out there a lot. Her and I kind of got talking a little bit about some of the stuff she's promoting. Yeah. And she wanted to look into maybe doing some stuff out this way. Yeah. And I know she was, the band we were speaking of was Hush Money.
Hush Money, yeah.
Which is a great band out there. Yeah. And they're, you know, they're a lot like Atomic Kings. Yep. And I know those guys they're trying to get out and get noticed, and it's a great record. I've listened to their music a lot.
And we were blessed to have them. They joined us on the Vibe, thanks to the amazing one, Lucy. So
you know, and what great guys too, and talented musicians. I know she's getting ready to send them out to the UK, and are going to go out that way. And then we're probably talking, you know, right maybe towards the end of summer or fall of next year, seeing if we can get them out here and do some shows together with them. I love it. It would be a pleasure.
I love it. Well, we need to cue up then All I Want, which is the first song off Atomic King's self-titled album. And we'll play just a couple minutes again because we want you all to buy the album. And in this case, you can. And we're going to talk to Ken about all of that when we get back with after hearing a little bit of All I Want. Song All I Want off of Atomic King's self-titled album, and I guess debut too. Ken, do I have that right? It is debut.
Yeah. That is the debut. Yeah. In fact, that track there was the very first single that we put out. You know, the album's been out a couple of months now, and that was the first single that we released off that one. And
I love it.
That one actually went and spent a couple of weeks at #1 over in 97 Underground.
Wow.
So we were pleased with that.
Yeah, easy to see why. Well, I was fascinated. So how talk about the name, because you guys are, you know, newly formed relatively. but talk about how you came up with Atomic Kings.
It's actually Atomic Kings is a name that GREG CHAISSON, who is our bass player.
Yeah.
A lot of people know him from the Badlands fame. He's had that name rolling around his head for quite some time. He was in another group, and it used part of the name, which was just Kings.
Okay.
And when the other three of those guys were in that group, they were going by another name. And when I joined up with them, it was decided we would start fresh, and we would change the name, and that was a good chance for Greg to use that name that he'd always wanted to use. So
interesting.
We became Atomic Kings.
I love it. Well, way back in the day, I became enamored with a band called Atomic Rooster. Out of the UK, and I believe, if memory serves me, they had Carl Palmer on drums.
Really?
On that band. I may have that wrong. Someone will have to fact check me, but I do know they were out of the UK, Atomic Rooster. So when I heard Atomic Kings, I'm like, I wonder if there's a connection somehow there. But
I wonder if it's a connection to Robert Palmer at all.
So Carl not Carl, who's the drummer for Emerson, Lake and Palmer? Was it Carl? It was Carl Palmer, but maybe not. But anyway, we'll talk about we rack our memories over that, without Google. We'll talk about your bandmates. You mentioned Craig on bass.
So GREG CHAISSON, GREG CHAISSON actually met Jake E. Lee through an audition with Ozzy.
Okay.
He was flown out by Sharon, and he was actually auditioning for Ozzy Osbourne. And when he got out there, he met Jake, and him and Jake, really hit it off and became friends. Greg ended up not doing the Ozzy Osbourne stint, but shortly after, when Jake split with Ozzy, Jake, turned right back around and got a hold of Greg, and they put Badlands together.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously with Ray Gillen, one of the greatest singers, and so they did several albums and had great reviews. I think Ray's probably one of the greatest singers out there, and Greg himself is certainly one of the greatest bass players out there. So Greg and I have known each other for quite a while, and so when the chance came for us to work together, we jumped on it. Our drummer, JIMI TAFT, an amazing drummer. JIMI TAFT and I were in a project, probably 20 years ago, and I've always admired his drumming. And so, there again, the chance to reunite with Jimmy. Yeah. And Jimmy and Greg as a rhythm section just was an exciting thought. Mm-hmm. And, past the album, I absolutely can see why. But Ryan McKay, an amazing, very, very talented guitar player. He's a very great songwriter, as Greg is. Kind of an old soul, and Ryan played with Louie Prima Jr., toured with him, wrote, recorded for many years with Louie Prima Jr. Mm-hmm. And so when we got together, really, I guess about 2 years ago now, and they sent me over. Jimmy sent me over 2 of the tracks that they were kind of roughly writing, and so I just jotted some things down, and we got together, and really they started playing the material. I started singing, and we just continued to write, and it's been a great process. It's been great chemistry. Yeah, everybody's very like-minded. Everybody's very creative, and so it's been really a match made in heaven, if you could say.
And are they all in the Phoenix area, or dispersed? All in Phoenix.
Yep, everyone's over here in Phoenix. Wow. Greg runs Bizarre Guitar out here in Phoenix, and Ryan has worked with Greg for quite a while there. So, Ryan and Greg really are the main songwriters as far as the music goes. And they can have the luxury of having an idea pop in their head, and they could really work on it almost instantly in the store. And we rehearse there in the store. So it's really a great situation for all of us.
Wow. Now, you told me a little story about Bizarre Guitar in the run-up to in our conversation in the run-up to the show. You want to share that? I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, we wrote, we probably had at the time 45 minutes worth of material that we'd written.
Yeah.
Greg had asked if we wanted to somewhat get in trouble, and we said sure. and he'd kind of mentioned, do you want to know what it is? We were like, no, it doesn't really matter to us. Basically, what happens is out there in Phoenix, Bizarre Guitar is on 7th Avenue.
Yeah.
And each year they close 7th Avenue for the mile that Bizarre Guitar just happens to be in the middle of. And, he's right there on the frontage of 7th Avenue. And so we had decided when there got to be about 1,000 or so people out front, we were just going to drag a PA out front of the parking lot.
Yeah.
And we were just going to start playing all of our material. We didn't know if we'd make it 5 minutes or how long before the police shut us down. And it actually ended up being completely the opposite. It was such a blatant move that the police that were there to probably shut us down ended up actually making people move their cars and kind of keeping the crowd back. And so it turned into a bizarre thing.
Yeah.
A
mini concert.
Intended.
Yeah.
And we ended up playing for probably a good 40, 45 minutes.
I love it.
Well, through that.
Was that your debut? Was that your debut live performance?
That was, it really was. It was the first time that we played any of the material live anywhere at all outside of the writing.
You didn't even have any swag to sell any stuff, did you?
No, no, we didn't. We really just, it was really a one-off at the time.
Yeah.
It was a one-off. And, some people had recorded video of it. And some of that video had made it to a few people. And Greg is good friends and worked with a guy named Night Bob, who's a very, very world-renowned front-of-house engineer for live music. And he's worked with Kiss and Ace Frehley, and he ran sound for Badlands and just a whole slew of bands.
Yeah.
And he got in touch with Greg over some of these videos that had happened. And one thing led to another, and that ended up making its way over to Tone House Records. Jason Constantine over there.
Yeah.
And they basically got back in touch with Greg and asked if we'd be interested in recording the material on the Tone House Records label. And so we said, sure.
Tone House is out of Phoenix too?
Tone House is actually in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, okay.
Yeah, and so, we signed on with Tone House Records. And in fact, we just recently also signed another deal with Fire Rock, and they are now going to worldwide distribute the album.
Congratulations!
And so
that's huge.
Hopefully they're going to run some off in vinyl as well. I know we're all shooting for vinyl, and that that whole situation really led to our first show. Night Bob, who was working with Ace Frehley at the time, said, "Hey, why don't you guys come and do a show with Ace, and that'll give me a chance to mix your live sound, and I get to mix sound for Greg again." So our very first show really publicly, other than the parking lot, was with Ace Frehley.
Wow.
And so
very cool.
That one thing led to another, and here we are.
No coincidences in live. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about Tone House and Fire Rock, but we'd be remiss if we didn't cue up Escape, the second song off this great Atomic Kings debut release and self-titled.
Escape, interesting baby. Song. I love this song.
says of Atomic Kings, they are a meat and potatoes rock that is a product of the pedigree without any of the bells and whistles that some listeners would say is a negative on other albums. So how about that? Brave words.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we've been really fortunate with some of the reviews that have been coming in, have all been positive. And, there seems to be a want of some of the older blues rock that's been missing. And there's some great bands out doing it now. But one thing that we all really were hell bent on was making sure that we stuck to the 70s sound.
Yeah.
We really wanted to make sure we did it analog.
Yeah.
There was no click track used. The band all recorded together live. All the rhythm tracks that you hear, they're all cut live.
Yeah.
With the exception of vocals. Ryan did a little bit of overdubbing on some guitar solos, but really what you hear on the album is a lot. That's all live.
Yeah.
The band playing it together. And it's really, a lot of it is one take.
I love it.
And, we did a lot of pre-production, a lot of working together before we went in the studio. So it really worked out well to get that, that sound we were looking for.
Very much like back in the day, I talked about it, Ken, when you couldn't afford, the groups couldn't afford to do it really any other way because they didn't have a lot of money in their budget for studio time, etc.
Yeah, we certainly didn't either. But I know we really wanted to get that vibe and sound of the 70s. And it's just not the same when you're in a studio, you have headphones on, you're in there by yourself, to try to get that feeling that you get when you're with your bandmates or you're all in a room together. There's an excitement. There's an aggressiveness that y'all tend to put out there when you're all playing together. And I know we were looking for that. And I know that the guys certainly accomplished that.
Yes.
So, it was different. And that was done that way on purpose.
I love it. Well, talk about why you just, in addition to that, which I think is so wicked awesome and cool, but you also made the conscious decision, we're going to do an album. We're not going to do one-offs. And so you did that. And then you guys are doing something even more unique, because I say of Ride the Vibe, I kind of at the 30,000 foot level, it's a digital liner notes. And you said, oh man, well, we're going to have those. So talk about that, if you would, Ken, the album idea and then your liner notes.
Yeah, when, that was something Greg and I know all of us agreed with when we were growing up and we would buy albums. I know one of the great things about buying an album was, you would take it home or somewhere and you'd sit down and the way of listening to music was different than for some. We still do it a lot the same, but you would put the record on and you would listen to it, or you'd be doing something, but you would listen to an album front to back.
Yes.
You really wouldn't just listen to one song, and you would read about the band and you would look at pictures and biographies and stuff, and you'd kind of get to know the band as you're listening to the music, and you kind of put it helps you put a face to a sound. And it had a lot to do with the look of a band. A lot of that became, the way that a band would carry themselves based on that. So that was one thing we definitely wanted to do. So we made the decision that we wanted to do, full fold out on the CD, as well as obviously if we do vinyl. So, we have a full 5-page fold out when you buy the CD.
Love it.
There's a short bio there of each member. There's pictures and whatnot, but kind of goes back to
old
the days.
School. I love it. Yeah. And where can listeners buy that? Because that sounds fantastic to me.
You can order it online right now. We're selling it, Tone House Records.
Okay.
You can look it up there. Fire Rock is soon to be releasing it worldwide. So soon you'll be able to pick that CD up at, Walmart, Target, any of your music outlets, you'll be able to get that. And also you can look us up on our Facebook page and message us, and we can certainly ship one out to you.
I love it.
We sell them at Bazaar Guitar as well, and they're a full package CD.
Yeah.
And, like you say, hopefully soon we'll have vinyl as well.
Talk about the decision, because I think you shared with me that vinyl now is outpacing CD sales. Do I have that right?
Right now, what I've heard is that vinyl is actually outselling CDs right now.
Yeah.
And that, a lot of the younger kids are starting to buy vinyl. And that kind of makes me happy, because I really missed vinyl.
Yes.
You had albums and you had your album collection.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of lost that when everything went to cassettes and CDs.
Right.
You just threw them around in your car. You never drove around with a record in your car. So music was more of you'd sit down, or when you got home, you'd put a record on it.
Yep.
And, whether you'd clean the house or make dinner, whatever it was you were doing, you would really listen to the music.
Yeah.
And, when they made CDs and they got into cassettes, I think it became a different way of listening to music. And obviously the 8 tracks that, your tape player would always eat, and then you'd have to scotch tape it back together.
Or you'd be right in the middle of a long song, like Thick as a Brick, and it changed tracks. That was annoying.
Yeah. So I'm really happy to see that.
Yeah.
And, it certainly is expensive to do vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really glad to see vinyl come back. And I've had the opportunity to listen to vinyl lately and go back to listening to records lately, and there's really nothing like it. I mean, there's really no sound that you get when you're playing a vinyl record.
Yep.
And so I'm really glad to see that coming back.
Good. Well, I hope between Tone House and Fire Rock that you get the opportunity to realize that dream to have this great album put out on
absolutely.
On vinyl. And we need to hear Holding On. This is the 3rd track, I believe, off of this great album.
Track number 3.
Michael Litten, the last DJ, playing what he wants to play and saying what he wants to say. Shout out to the late, great Tom Petty. And in this case, playing some great songs from Atomic King's debut album, self-titled. And don't be holding on to your money now, y'all, because,
that's right.
We've been without
holding
opportunity.
On is not meant for your wallet.
No, it's not meant for your wallet. So go out and buy that CD, will you? Because, we've got pent-up demand for some music, original music and no click track music and recorded all live in the studio kind of music. We'll talk about that song, Ken.
That song starts off with Greg on bass. It was an idea Greg had on his bass guitar.
Yeah.
And, you know what? It was a chance to do a lot of it experimenting, actually. We went through several changes in the song itself. I really love Ryan's slide guitar and the way that he works that slide guitar, but yet keeps it, in the rock and roll vibe. And then we changed tempos and beat, and we kind of got into a little bit of a Led Zeppelin type thing there with some, Mellotron and some keyboards in there, and still turned around and was able to put some harmonica in there. And so it's a fun song. It's a lot of people's favorite track.
Yeah.
And which is one thing I really love about this album is, if we talk to 10 people, we would get 10 different favorites.
Yeah.
And so there's certainly worse things to happen than that. It's very, to put an album out and have only one song really appeal to somebody. So we're very, very fortunate that we've had just about every song has been mentioned, as to being somebody's favorite. So,
well, and I think that's a testimony not only to the way you did it, but the writing and the musicianship, but also the fact you did an album, right? I mean,
yes,
it gives a lot of variety. There's a lot of variety there that can appeal to, as you said, different people's tastes, which then drives the album, which is, I think, it's kind of, it seems like that's a good thing.
It is, what? And it's, when you listen to an album from start to finish, you don't really want to start hearing the same thing. And we certainly don't. I know there's many times where we make sure we're trying to not repeat ourselves. And there's many moods that take place, when you get four guys together and, each has their lives and whatnot, and we get together and it may be a mood that someone was in that day and whatever that mood triggers in somebody else, and all of a sudden that's the direction that song goes.
Yeah.
So it's certainly in us to be very, very wide. We definitely go very far left, very far right.
I love that.
We're always Atomic Kings, and we're always in that vibe that we're in. But there's many moods that takes place in the songs, and that is really just a natural process. I think, like you said,
and along those lines, Ken, how did you all? What was the process of ordering? Putting the songs, because I know, having done this now for 5 years, blissfully, talking to a lot of musicians, and there's a real craft or a real art to how you put, All I Want, number one, and then, how'd you guys come up with that? How'd you do that?
A lot of thought, really.
Yeah.
It's really amazing how much thought you really put into that. And
people don't appreciate necessarily that craft.
Yeah, and you never know if you got it right. There's not really any right or wrong, but for us, we certainly wanted All I Want to come out first. That song, it's a very positive song. It's very catchy.
Yeah.
A riff. Greg actually came up with that riff in the late 70s, and he's introduced it. That riff actually got introduced clear back in Badlands.
Jeez.
And for whatever reason, they didn't care for it there. But I know the minute I heard that riff, I was like, oh man, we have to make a song out of that. And I know the other guys agreed. And it's a very poppy, happy, up-tempo song. And we knew that that's what we wanted to start off with.
Right.
And when you're a new band and you're coming out, somebody's going to hear your first song.
Yeah.
And before they get a chance to listen to song 2 or song 3 or whatnot, they're going to somewhat develop, okay, these guys are about this, or okay, these guys sound
preconceived.
Like this. So,
well, especially because folks' attention span less than that of a goldfish, right?
Yeah. So we certainly wanted to make a good impression coming out, and then as you move through the album, we wanted to take you through the different moods.
Yeah.
Running Away is a song in the middle of that album. JIMI TAFT is a very talented guitar player. He's our drummer, but he plays the acoustic bit on Jimmy's page.
Yeah.
And so that kind of.
And is that a shout? We're not going to feature that one because we didn't have enough time.
No.
Is that a shout out to Jimmy Page?
But it's maybe in a back door sort of thing.
Yes.
Obviously, we're no strangers to Led Zeppelin, and they're they're a huge influence on me, and I know Ryan is a big fan of Jimmy, and I know JIMI TAFT is a big fan of Zeppelin as well. So we're all fans of Zeppelin.
Sure.
And it was something that Jimmy wrote, and we had called it Jimmy's Page. It wasn't intended to mimic Jimmy Page himself, but it was just something that kind of came along, and Jimmy wrote it, and it was kind of his little page in the album. so
it fit on multiple levels.
So it fit on multiple levels, and it's a beautiful piece, and I love it, and it adds a lot of diversity to the album. And there again, it goes to creating an album from front to back, someone that can listen to all the way through. We didn't want to put an album out that somebody played 2 or 3 songs and they basically just heard one great big long song, but they listened to 3 tracks. And we certainly didn't want somebody turning it off. We wanted the listeners to wonder what's coming next, or what are they going to do now. And so I know that's how we used to listen to albums, and so we wanted to establish
to do the same thing. Well, and you've teased it up brilliantly, because we're not going to play it, y'all. Nanny, nanny, boo, boo.
Yeah. Sorry, you're going to have to buy the CD if you want to know what I'm talking about.
There you go. But we are going to play Take My Hand, which I believe Brave Words said they thought was the best song on the album, that they thought it really showed spontaneity, the 70s like brief break.
It's a very, very interesting song. It's certainly one of my favorites. That song really rolls you through a lot of different moods, a lot of different changes. It's a great riff. There's a really great breakdown in the song, but yet it comes out the backside, cooking.
Yeah. And again, we're only playing 2 minutes again, y'all. So we're teasing you up that way too, because not one of these songs is less than 4 minutes. So we're going to hear Take My Hand. We'll be right back. Michael Litten, the last DJ, talking with Ken as we play Take My Hand. Only a couple minutes. That song's 5:17, y'all. So we really are teasing you up, and you should go out and buy the whole album because it's unbelievable. And I was suggesting to Ken that to me had a bit of a Humble Pie feel to it. And we were talking about Steve Marriott, and Ken shared with me that in one of their other conversations, talking about this album, that the people had thought about Humble Pie as well. So,
yeah, we had, which is a great honor to be throwing those comparisons out. But it's been mentioned Humble Pie and Steve Marriott before.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm a huge fan Steve and a huge fan of Humble Pie. And I know all of the guys are. And sometimes you do things in a chord or a key or a riff kind of conjures up something inside you that it's subconscious. You don't realize it, but you sing what you sing or you play what you play, and you put it all together as a group and you put it out there. And sometimes somebody else can pick up on your influence that you don't realize you had put in there. So that's certainly a huge compliment to have that comparison.
I love it. Well, very cool. Well, we are going to take just a short break because it wouldn't be a Ride the Vibe without, again, Wahid Gomes, DRS, ATL, the studio. And he also, for all you musicians out there that may be looking for a way to make some money while you sleep, you want to talk to Wahid about his Verde Music value proposition for licensing songs and that sort of thing. But we'll be right back. We've got a couple more songs we want to play off this great album, Atomic Kings' debut, Atomic Kings. We'll be right back.
DRS provides professional audio mixing and mastering services. They also provide other creative services such as voiceover editing, audio restoration, and audio forensics. They have great customer service, their work is fast and efficient, and their prices are affordable. You can learn more about their creative services by visiting them on the web at drsatl.com. Again, that's drsatl.com, or call them at 404-590-0779. Again, that's 404-590-0779. DRS, when the right sound matters.
You're back on Ride the Vibe. Michael Litten, the last DJ, having a great conversation with Ken Ronk, the lead vocalist for Atomic Kings. And Ken, talk about your formative years. When did you recognize that this was a passion that you had for music, singing? How did all that come about?
I recognized it pretty early on. I guess my early years. My dad was a musician. He played a lot in local bands. He was more on the countryside, so I was exposed to it pretty early.
Yeah,
and I noticed very early on the excitement that is around live music. And at the time, I wasn't really even aware of recording or whatnot. I was introduced to the live vibe of music
through your dad.
Yeah. And so I became very interested in music. And then as time went on, I got into high school. I ran into some guys. We started playing, writing, and so on. And I really got into Robert Plant and Led Zeppelin and Paul Rodgers and Bad Company and Cactus, Humble Pie. And I was always a little behind the times. My generation was listening to Motley Crue and all that stuff. So I'm a big fan of Jim Morrison. Mm-hmm. I'm a bigger fan of Jim Morrison than I am of the Doors.
Yes.
There's an aura about Jim and his lyrics. And so, the more you get involved in it, the more you get involved in it.
Yeah.
And
were you always a vocalist? Always singing or frontman?
Yeah, I was always terrible on everything else. And I still am, really. But I do play piano a little bit and some keys and harmonica and guitar.
And your dad was a vocalist, or he?
Yeah, he was a guitar player, singer.
Yeah.
There was a friend of mine in high school, and they had a group, and I was at the time only one old enough to drive. The other guys were a year younger than me.
Yeah.
And so I would take a friend of mine who was a guitar player over to his rehearsal, and I would sit there. And after a while, one of the guys said, "Well, why don't you sing? Because we don't have anybody singing."
Yeah.
And we went and got one of those Radio Shack mics, had the cord on it, the on and off switch. Mm-hmm. And we literally stuck it into a guitar amp. And that was the first introduction of me singing.
Do you remember the song?
You
remember the song?
Yeah, it was, it was actually, I feel like it was Ronnie James Dio. I think it was Heaven and Hell.
Interesting.
I believe was probably one of the first songs I sang.
Yeah.
And then, obviously we we started doing some Zeppelin, and you know, I got into Robin Trower, and I was really influenced by a lot of the blues, you know, Howlin' Wolf, and a lot of the blues guys, which is probably where my harmonica, you know, thing came from. So I just had such a huge influence once I really became immersed in music. I love R&B, and you know, I listened to a lot of, you know, I listened to Glenn Campbell.
Sure, diverse.
I have such a wide variety of influences.
Well, I love that, because that tees up a question I'm going to put out there to you that you can ponder while we play this next song called Live, ironically enough. Even a blind squirrel can get a nut every once in a while. So I love that segue, if I do say so myself. But the question for you, Mr. Ken, should you be inclined to answer it, is if you could put together the ultimate 3-piece band with anyone that is living or dead, who would you include? And you can ponder that, and you can choose to use the Kama Sutra Maru thing and not answer if you want. But we're going to play Live and then come back and see if Ken wants to take that question on. So we'll be right back. Oh, yeah. Single off of Atomic King's debut release of the same name, Atomic Kings. That is Live. That also is out in a YouTube video format, so you can check it out that way. And then, of course, you're going to go out and buy the album because you're going to get liner notes. You're going to get, you know, lots of songs, and there's a bonus song, I believe, on the CD.
You get the full Monty.
Yeah, you get everything. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck, so to speak. We'll talk about that song. And then, you know, if you're inclined, give me your 3-piece band.
That song Live is it's a riff Greg had rolling around his head. And if you ask him, he said he had that rolling around his head because there was nothing else up there. And it just, the minute the band started playing that song, we were in rehearsal, and that's where I hear everything for the first time. We all get into rehearsal and, hey, we've been working on this, and an idea comes out, and then, you know, the four of us really just go. Yeah. And Live was a song that was probably written in 15 minutes, maybe 20. And it was just an exciting song, and it reminded me of, I talked earlier on how I kind of got into music, and that one really is about the excitement of playing live. Yeah. And when I heard that song in the riff for the first time, it kind of got me feeling that excitement. I thought, well, this song has to be about that. So it was obvious to call it live. And it's really about, the people that are coming to the shows and to the concert, the excitement, the vibe of being in a live environment. And that's what that song is all about.
I love it. And that, is a consistent theme I've also heard over the years from folks, is that some of their best stuff comes so quickly, and then some of the stuff they struggle on is not, not their best. I mean, we talked about in the run up to the show, Neil Young talks about writing the song Ohio in 15 minutes after the Kent State situation. And so it's interesting how that goes.
Yeah, it's really a big hats off to all the folks that come out to the shows and the concerts, and a band is nothing without the people buying the album, and without all the people that come out there and get crazy with us. And we're fans of music and fans of the excitement. We love to play live. We love to feed off the crowd, and that's just really a big hats off to everybody that that feels the same way, that shows up at all the shows.
Well, Neil said it succinctly, live music is better. So how about that?
Yeah.
Well, you want to take a stab at the three-piece band, or are you going to?
So my all-time three-piece band. Now, this is a three-piece band, not a vocalist, or what?
It can be whatever, it can be whatever you want. You can have three vocalists. You can have, whatever you want.
Well, maybe I'll twist it a little bit. As far as vocalist goes, if I had to name three vocalists, I would probably say Paul Rodgers.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Jimmy Dewar from Robin Trower.
Yeah.
Obviously, I love Freddie Mercury and Robert Plant. Sorry, I accidentally forgot how to count.
Yeah, you can do drummers. 4. It's okay.
I'm a big fan of John Bonham.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of Rush and some of Geddy Lee's bass playing.
Yeah.
I love John Entwistle on bass. I'm a big Who fan as well, so I love a lot of the stuff Roger Daltrey was doing. Free, I love Andy Frazier. I love Boz Burrell from the early days in Bad Company, and obviously Simon Kirke and Boz. What an incredible, rhythm section that was.
Yeah.
Humble Pie, Steve Marriott.
Yeah.
So I've probably gone way beyond your
You
three.
have, but that's okay.
But if there was a way to put all those people in the same band, you'd have my attention.
And it's good. I like that. Brilliant. Well, we are almost out of time here, but I want to hear.
And I got to tell you, I'm really, really huge fans of my own band. I've, been since playing with these guys. I really think that JIMI TAFT and GREG is really some of the greatest rhythm section I've heard, and I'm just such a huge fan of Ryan McKay and his playing, and it's such a great, tight knit group that I'll tell you, it would be hard fetched for me to think that I would want to play with anyone other than those three.
When it comes through, the album is just stellar.
Yeah, I mean, if someone said to me, Ken, we want you to go in the studio and we want you to start writing songs, and you pick your own band, it would be hard for me to imagine doing that without without those three, without Greg and Ryan and Jimmy would be.
I love it. Well, so it segues brilliantly to the song "I've Got Mine," because you've got yours, right? You've got your ultimate band. So if we could, Wahid, let's cue that up before we run out of time here.
My stubborn ways have got me
the Vibe. Michael Litten, The Last DJ. That's I've Got Mine off of Atomic King's great new album, debut release. And we've got to circle back around and give a shout out to the amazing Lucy Pillar, owner of All Right Now Entertainment, for the introduction to Ken Ronk, the lead vocalist for Atomic Kings. And Ken, just as we wrap this up, it's been great conversation and love the music. What's next? What's coming up, and what should folks be on the lookout for?
We have some shows in the works. We actually just inked a show with some guys, Spread Eagle. I believe they're under the MCKAY label. They're coming out in February, and we're going to do a show with them. We're working on some stuff, some shows out in Tucson. And so we're doing some shows together, but at the same time, we've been really busy writing. We're getting ready to, start recording album number 2, hopefully in the fall or middle of the year.
Yeah.
And
same format.
Absolutely. This one was really mixed and mastered a lot by us and back and forth with Jason over, the record label. And so, we absolutely are going to be using the same format for sure.
So in the meantime, they can go to Tonehouse Records or Fire Rock.
ToneHouseRecords.com or soon enough you'll be able to buy it anywhere.
Yeah.
Through Fire Rock, we distributing that, and obviously you can hook up with us on Facebook page.
Yeah,
it's Atomic Kings.
Yep.
Shoot us a message, we'll get you one out. It can be picked up at Bizarre Guitar out here in Phoenix.
Yeah,
and if none of those appeal to anybody, you don't get the CD, you don't get the liner notes, but if you want to stream it, I suppose you could do that.
Yeah, get the CD, get those liner notes. And spend some money on a brilliant CD and, with a live.
Other than that, we're on Spotify and all the,
and you'll have a website soon
Apple Music
to come.
The website it'll be out soon. And so, that's going to be obviously Atomic Kings.
I love it. And hopefully a vinyl for you vinyl fans. Well, this has just been a killer. I hope if you make it out this way, Ken, we'll get a chance to see you.
Michael, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Wahid. And once again, thank you, Lucy.
Amen. All right, we're out here. Bye-bye. Ride the vibe. Michael Litten.
Done, son, 'cause the hour is growing.